She told me I was losing my mind. For 8 months, she looked me dead in the eyes and told me I was paranoid, jealous, and unstable. And the worst part? I almost believed her. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I was 31 years old, engaged to a woman I thought was the love of my life, and slowly being dismantled from the inside out. Her name was Cassie. Beautiful, sharp, charming Cassie. Who could make you feel like the most important person in the room one minute and like you were completely unraveling the next. I should have seen the signs earlier. But when you're in love, you don't see signs. You see what you want to see. We'd been together for 4 years when the strange feeling started. Not a dramatic moment. No lipstick on a collar. No late-night phone calls I wasn't supposed to hear. It was quieter than that. Subtler. She started coming home from work later than usual, always with a perfectly reasonable explanation. Traffic, a last-minute meeting, happy hour with colleagues she'd never mentioned before. I believed her every time, because that's what you do when you trust someone. The first real crack appeared on a Tuesday in October. I was using her laptop to print a boarding pass. She knew I was using it. She handed it to me. And a message notification slid across the top of the screen from someone saved as D. Just 3 words. Can't stop thinking. I froze. I asked her about it, casually, trying to keep my voice even. She looked at the screen, then looked at me, and laughed. Not nervously, genuinely laughed. She said it was her coworker Dana, and they'd been obsessing over a project proposal for weeks. She even rolled her eyes a little, like I was being adorably dramatic. I felt embarrassed. I apologized. That was the moment the gaslighting truly began. Over the next few months, every time my gut whispered something was wrong, Cassie had an answer ready. My phone would ring and she'd step outside to take the call. I didn't want to disturb you, babe. She'd come home smelling slightly different. I tried a sample at the department store. She started locking her phone, which she'd never done before. I read an article about screen addiction, and I'm trying to be more intentional. Every explanation was reasonable. Every one was delivered with just enough calm certainty to make me feel like the unstable one for asking. She told me I was anxious. She said I'd always had trust issues from my last relationship, and she was worried about me. She suggested therapy, gently, lovingly, in a way that made me think she was doing me a favor. And God help me, I went. I sat in a therapist's office and talked about my jealousy and my insecurity while she was doing God knows what with someone I didn't know existed yet. The name D wasn't Dana. It was Daniel. I found out by accident, the way these things always happen. A mutual friend of ours, Priya, ran into me at a coffee shop one Saturday morning. She looked uncomfortable the second she saw me. She fumbled through small talk for about 90 seconds before she said, quietly, that she thought I already knew, that she'd assumed Cassie had told me, and that she was so sorry. Cassie had been seeing a man from her gym. His name was Daniel. It had been going on for almost a year. I sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours after Priya left. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I just sat there while the espresso machine hissed and strangers laughed around me, and I let the full weight of it land. 8 months of being told I was paranoid. 8 months of doubting my own perception of reality. 8 months of apologizing for noticing things that were absolutely, objectively real. I didn't confront Cassie that night, or the next night. I waited. I spent 2 weeks quietly gathering everything I needed. Not out of cruelty, but because I needed to be certain. Certain enough that she couldn't gaslight me one final time. I spoke to Priya again. I reached out carefully to one other person in Cassie's circle who had been starting to feel uneasy about covering for her. I documented. I stayed calm. I kept our life looking completely normal on the surface, which was perhaps the strangest 2 weeks of my entire life. We had dinner together. We watched television. She told me she loved me and I said it back because I was buying time and because part of me, the part that had been convinced I was losing my mind, needed to sit with the solid truth before I blew everything up. The evening I chose was a Friday. We were supposed to be going to dinner to celebrate our 4-year anniversary. She'd made the reservation herself. She was dressed beautifully. She was in a good mood. And I sat down across from her at the kitchen table before we left. And I laid everything out. Not with anger, not with tears, just with facts. The screenshots Priya had shared with me, the timeline, the dates, the lies I could now name specifically, one by one, like items on a grocery list. She tried. I'll give her that. She tried the usual playbook. She told me Priya had always been jealous of her. She said I was taking things out of context. She reached for my hand across the table and told me I was spiraling, that this wasn't healthy, that she was scared for me. And I felt it, that old pull, that familiar vertigo of wondering if maybe she was right, if maybe I was wrong again. But I'd lived in that fog for 8 months and I knew exactly what it felt like now. I recognized it, and recognizing it was everything. I slid a single piece of paper across the table. It was a printout of a conversation between her and Daniel, one Priya had forwarded to me, where Cassie explicitly discussed how she was managing me. Her words. He gets suspicious sometimes, but I just tell him he's being paranoid. He always backs down. She went completely still. The color left her face. She had nothing left. I told her I'd already spoken to our landlord about removing my name from the lease. I told her the engagement ring was in the top drawer of the nightstand, and she could do whatever she wanted with it. I told her I hoped she and Daniel were very happy together. And then I stood up, put on my jacket, and walked out of the apartment we had shared for 2 years. I didn't slam the door. I closed it softly. That was important to me. The months after that were not easy or triumphant in any Hollywood sense. I won't lie to you and pretend that walking away felt like victory every single day, because it didn't. There were nights I replayed conversations looking for the moment I could have caught her sooner. There were mornings I woke up genuinely unsure if my memories of those 8 months were real, because she had worked so hard to make me doubt them. That kind of psychological erosion doesn't just repair itself overnight. But here is what I know now, on the other side of it. The most dangerous lies are never the ones told about facts. They're the ones told about your own perception. When someone makes you question your sanity, they're not just cheating on your relationship. They're stealing your access to your own truth. And the moment I stopped apologizing for noticing things that were real was the moment I started to come back to myself. Cassie and Daniel lasted about 4 months after everything came out. I know because I stopped caring enough to track it after that. I'm not interested in her chaos anymore. What I'm interested in is this. You know what you know. And no one, no matter how charming, how calm, how convincing, gets to take that from you.